Tuesday night I appeared, seems like a century ago, but it was last Tuesday night I appeared and we discussed the warrant article dealing with the police commission, and I gave you some advice, and when I got back to my office the next day I realized that I had not given you the correct advice, or at least I had not given you 100% of the correct advice, and I apologize for that. And I did call the Carol, and I called the chair and to advise him that I thought I made a mistake and I wanted to correct the record, and with the correct information leave it to you to make the decisions, but at least you should have the correct information to base your vote on. And what I said last Tuesday was that the special act of the legislature, which allowed the issue of to abolish or not abolish the police commission to come before the townspeople, had to be presented to you by a petitioned warrant article. And I based that on reading the special act, and at the bottom of the special act it says that the town of Hooksett may vote to rescind an action creating a police commission by submission of an article in the town warrant as provided in RSA 39:3. And that night I said, well, RSA 39:3 is the statute that says an article needs to come before you or be put on the town warrant by virtue of a petition. And I then suggested to you, or recommended to you, that since that article had not been presented by a petition, that it would be improper to place it on the warrant. And based on that information, you voted. Subsequently, as I indicated, the next morning when I got to my office, I researched the issue further, and I did discover another statute. And that statute is RSA 31:131, and I have previously given you copies of these laws. And that essentially says that any question which an enabling statute authorized to be placed in the warrant for a town meeting by petition may also be inserted by the selectmen, even in the absence of any petition. And it's clear that under the charter you have the same powers, in fact you have more powers than a board of selectmen. And so this clearly says that there's an alternative way. There's two ways for that warrant article to be placed on this year's warrant. One would be by a petitioned article by the citizens, or one by your action independently. And I misled you by saying it had to come before you by a petitioned article. So I apologize for that. And I felt the appropriate thing was, and again, I am not pro or against the warrant article, period. I have no position on that. But I want you to be acting with full knowledge of what your authority is and what your rights are, and I didn't think you had that because I misled you. So I felt it would be appropriate to bring it to your attention. If you felt it was appropriate, you would have to reconsider that action and then vote solely on the merits of whether or not you feel that should be placed on the warrant this year. And that's what my presentation is about tonight. Thank you.
I'm a little confused. We had a whole session where attorney-client privilege was used, a meeting with our attorneys, and now we discuss what we discussed, in private, in public. And none of the clients, us, agreed to discuss that in public. I'm confused about that. That was attorney-client meeting, wasn't that? Yes, no?
That was discussed.
If it wasn't, it'd be a public meeting.
I'll let our attorney.
If it wasn't, it had to be in public. And it wasn't in public, we told the public they had to leave.
We did have an attorney-client meeting.
And now we discussed our attorney-client meeting with the public without us consenting as clients.
We never had a vote to seal those minutes.
It wasn't a meeting.
Well, I apologize if you feel that that's a violation, but my understanding was the reason I was going to come tonight was because I, in public, had given you advice last Tuesday, and I wanted to correct the record, again in public, that my advice I considered to be incorrect, and I wanted to give you the accurate advice so you could make your decision on the merits.
I just get confused on which is client attorney privileges and which aren't. I'm sorry.
George?
I'm completely confused now. Which, at the present time, is the police warrant officially on the ballot or off the ballot?
It's off the ballot.
It's on the ballot.
Off.
So if we do nothing, it'll stay off. If we go into reconsideration, that would only be to put it back on, right?
Presumably, yeah.
Okay.
Is that correct, Counsel?
Well, you would reconsider your prior act, and then it would put the question again before you, would put it on the table for you to vote on. It would nullify the act, the last vote you took. The last vote you took was not to put it on the warrant. That would become nullified, and now the question, it wouldn't be on the warrant, but there would be no vote on it one way or another. And then you could present it to your body and decide if you wanted to or did not want to put it on the ballot. But you're right, Mr. Councilman Longfellow. If you do nothing, then it is not on the ballot.
I was just going to comment regarding votes, because that may be a question of some counselors, whether you put it on and you voted for or against. Those votes did not appear on the warrant. It's not a budgetary item, so that vote isn't on there. But I think the reason our attorney, if you reconsidered, it would mainly be just so you would be taking a vote based on the correct legal information. You could vote it down and then it wouldn't be on. But I believe the reason it was coming back and it might be considered to be reconsidered was so you'd be voting based on the correct legal opinion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Councilor Limbo.
I'll make a motion to reconsider.
And I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second?
Point of order, sir. Motion to reconsider has to be someone in the affirmative. Unless we change the rules, I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion.
Withdraw a second.
Second.
Any other further discussion? What is the pleasure of the council?
So,
Mr. Chairman, I think the fairness side should make a motion to reconsider so we can put this to rest. Vote on it tonight, and then we can vote on it, and however the vote goes, is the end of it. We'll be done with it. I really would hope that they would make a motion to reconsider. Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
what are my rights here?
You weren't here, you didn't vote.
Right, so I'm just curious. Well, they're going to come back and say, according to our council rules, anybody can make the motion because, well, we refer to Robert's rules and Brigham's rules. It is ultimately the chair's decision on whether or not to proceed, on how to conduct a meeting. I believe. If they'd like to comment themselves, they could.
Chairman,
Yes?
it is my opinion that if the folks that voted in the affirmative not to put it on the ballot doesn't make it for reconsideration, it's a dead issue.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So if none of the councilors that voted not to put it on the ballot and won, if they don't want to reconsider, then it's a dead issue. I'm repeating myself, but how clear can that be?
You're right. Then let's move on.
Having no motion, we'll move on to the new business. which will be.
If I could
May
ask-
I ask a question?
If I could ask that we find out whether or not somebody who was not present for a vote, if they can make a motion to reconsider, I would appreciate that for future meetings. Thank you.
I will defer to the town attorneys.
Stephen Buckley with the firm Page Otis. I believe the rules that the council follows, this is not covered in Wigan's rules to refer to in your rules. There's another document that's referred to, which really is just a summary of Robert's Rules of Orders. And Robert's Rules of Orders would say a person had to be present and had voted on the matter in the affirmative to then later on bring up the motion for reconsideration. An absent party does not qualify as someone who voted in the affirmative.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I put a question to you guys? The way I understand this whole thing started is you refused to sign the warrant. Do you intend to sign the warrant now?
I will now, after my
How
reason.
about you, then?
Absolutely, I just wanted to give the folks, if I may speak, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to give the folks that wanted to see that on the ballot
All right.
the opportunity to get a fair shake.
Yeah, I just did one.
And that's why I made the motion.
Okay.
I tried to make the motion, and I haven't forgot that I had to be in the affirmative to make the motion. But the fact that the motion wasn't made, we can't vote on it, so instead of putting the citizens through this whole thing again, it's a dead issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we move on now? Under new business. Thank you for coming in and putting things down. Under new business, item 11-23,